Nice, nice. But last time we talked, we focused on TikTok Shop. Obviously, it's still booming, and everyone I want to get started with it. I think it was like episode 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought like I know your primer, or maybe it's not, but like you focus also a lot on meta ads, and obviously that's like key for every brand I talk with. And I feel like everyone is like, when I ask them like where do you get the revenue from, they're like meta ads, like that's their core
Yeah,
core
I
channel.
definitely, I definitely agree with that. And when we do focus on auto meta, our meta ad spend per year on an agency level is still higher, substantially higher than on TikTok. It's just the reality. As I said last time in our episode, I don't think that like one can replace the other. I think they're like kind of complementary. But meta
Mm.
is still and is going to be for quite some time the main channel for brands. So I definitely can agree with that.
Yeah. And I think we also talked about a little bit about UGC and how that could play out with TikTok Shop. And I thought it would be interesting to hear a little bit more how UGC works with ads on Meta, and just hear a little bit more, your insights about it. But to start with, just what would you say is kind of needed to even get started with? Like, what's the foundation to have in place for a brand so you actually can test out UGC, and maybe explain what UGC is?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where we will start from. What UGC is, because right now brands and like marketeers are just misusing that word. UGC is not when you pay a random content creator to make you a video with oversaturated hooks, and then you can hear someone saying, "Hey, your UGC doesn't work." No, UGC is working. It will always work, but it needs to be genuine. That's the whole point of the UGC. So today, practically, if you go to Ads Library or Meta and you search for any brand you want, especially like I would say small, medium businesses, okay? Huge companies like, let's say, Samsung, okay? They don't have UGC, they don't care. They already are very, very established, and they are just like presenting you their newest product, okay, and features. And you're buying the features and you're buying the brand. But smaller companies, even though, I mean, when I say smaller, those companies are still spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing, but still they cannot compare with like S&P 500 companies. Smaller companies need to provide a lot of value to convince the customer to buy, okay? And having other customers presenting that value proved to be much more efficient than when company speaks well about itself. That's obvious. Like, you are having a product and you will speak very well about that product, and nobody knows that. But when you have a customer who is genuinely happy with your product and is happy to share that experience, that's when great UGC is being created, and that's when you can have highly converting ads. Okay, and I just want to speak about two main problems with what people think UGC is today. And first problem I just started speaking about, and that's having not the actual UGC. So there is now a ton of agencies which are specializing in providing UGC materials, UGC content. And right off the bat, that's wrong. Okay, don't get me wrong. I love those agencies. We collaborate with them. We use them a lot, just because it's very hard to get actual UGC. And there are some agencies who do a great job with that. Don't get me wrong, but still, people, real customers who are watching the videos, who are consuming hours and hours of content on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube daily, they can recognize if the content is actually genuine or if you're just paid to do it. And the issue with like UGC, paid UGC content is because those creators who are making that content, they actually know the hooks. They know how to make engaging content. They know it. It's not about the knowledge. It's more about they don't feel the product. They cannot fake that. There is one component that you can really not fake, and that's how you feel, okay? You can try, but most of the times you cannot do it. That's an issue. And then on top of it, they are recording hundreds of videos every single month. And then it just becomes the question, do you prioritize quality or quantity? And obviously, when you record hundreds of videos with hundreds of different products, you're starting to automate some stuff. You're starting to think less and less about what you will say. You know that some hooks, some value propositions are having good results, and you will just try to push them more and more and more because it's just easier. You make more money that way, and I respect that. But the issue is when you do it enough times, and when hundreds and thousands of creators do it enough times, you go to Instagram, you start scrolling, and you see oversaturated hooks like 3 reasons why, or like oversaturated value propositions. Here is why you need this today. And that becomes just too common and so fake that nobody wants to hear that anymore, and nobody is kind of buying those products. And that's one issue, okay? And the second issue I see with the real UGC, quite the contrary, when brands actually get the real UGC, they ruin it because they over-edit, they try to make it to feel on brand, and we have that conversation with our clients all the time. I can understand fully why brands are very careful about what type of content will be published in their name. I understand the branding perspective, but when it starts hurting the results, then we need to change something. We need to slow down and really think what's driving growth, because every single client, when it comes, they say, okay, we want to grow. Obviously, that's why you want to do marketing. And a lot of times it's a struggle between like what's on brand and what's driving results. And often, unfortunately for me, and for people who do the same job as me, often it's kind of moving into opposite directions. And that's an issue, obviously. So those are, I think, two core issues. So to summarize, UGC not being actual UGC, or actual UGC being too edited, too polished to look fake.
But when you say too polished, too fake, like what are typical input you get from your clients when they want to start tweaking and fixing and kind of ruin it?
Yeah.
What are those examples so people know what they should not do when they edit?
Yeah, okay. So I will put it this way. Okay, I will give a real example from real life. It will be easier for people to understand. So how UGC comes, okay? When you buy UGC from a UGC agency, which is fake UGC, we already discussed that, you will get a polished 15 seconds video following all meta best practices. You will get a perfect ad on the paper. When you get a real UGC, you will get 5 minutes video of person speaking with not perfect audio, with not perfect lighting setup. That person may be even be in like messy clothes or something like that, okay? You will get a raw material, a really raw. Okay? And then brands will come and say, okay, I don't think this audio is too good. It does not sound great, and I think it's off brand. Or her hair is messy if she's promoting makeup, okay? We have UGC, real UGC, a girl is promoting makeup and her hair is messy. And brand owner is like, her hair is messy, our models are perfect, I don't think it's on brand enough. So those kind of comments, okay? And I can understand where the brand owners are coming from. But these raw stories that people are telling are so emotional and so deep, especially if you have a real problem solver, okay? So we had one brand, I cannot name it because of the NDA, but one brand, pretty big brand, which actually built the whole thing without a marketing, okay? They started marketing when they already had like $300,000 of revenue in Shopify. How they built their brand? They have excellent product, amazing product, which really solves acne issues. And they get 50, 100 raw UGC videos per quarter, I would say, probably like 30, 40 videos per month, without even asking for it, because people are so happy when they see their acne are gone that they want to share their experience. And that's a dream for every marketer. Ask any meta practitioner out there, would you like to get 30 raw UGC, real UGC videos per month? Everyone would scream top of their lungs. because it's a dream. And then they start to kind of neglect that and to move into opposite direction and to make some videos which are not nearly as engaging. Emotional storytelling is the top thing you can have in marketing. People like to relate to the video. They cannot relate to the video if it starts with oversaturated hooks, 3 reasons why you should do or you should not. I'm not even thinking about 3 reasons as a consumer. I don't care about 3 reasons. Tell me a story. That's the point, okay? I want to see passion. But if I start speaking about how I had acne issues for 5 years, I was ashamed to go to the mall. I didn't want to go to the restaurant with my boyfriend, and that's why my relationship suffered. That's the real story, and I bet there will be hundreds and thousands of people having the same issue out there. And that's when you get amazing ad and amazing results. So that's what I think when I say they are moving away from that raw emotion and they are oversaturating with like edits.
Yeah.
And being too careful about what will be published in the name of the brand.
Yeah. But how do they collect? What's a typical kind of process for the customer? Is it just to post on Instagram and that's where you get the raw material, or what? How do they collect that client or any client? Like, how do they collect this raw UGC content?
Okay, yeah, that's actually the hardest part you need to nail as a brand. And I think it's a very good thing to explain here. So, first part of getting UGC material is for your product to actually have a good product market fit, to solve real problems and to be a good product, obviously. So let's say we check all of those boxes, we have a good product. Now what happens next? You need to develop a community, okay? So it's not just about selling your product once and that's it. All growth hackers out there will know that nailing the recurring revenue, having customers return for the second, third, fourth time is actually crucial for your growth. You cannot always rely on top of the funnel acquisition. So with that community development, which is mainly done through email marketing channel, and I cannot emphasize how important email marketing is for the e-commerce health. You need to develop a relationship with your customers. So a lot of the times, you know how brands use their email marketing channel? Here is a sale, 10% off, $20 off, save 50%, save 30%. You wouldn't believe how many emails of those types I get in a day. It's crazy, okay? So people are really not so creative anymore with email marketing, and that's crucial for sourcing the content, because if you can start to develop a relationship, what does that mean? Okay, I sold a product today. In 3 days, I will not ask you to buy another product, and I will not ask you to review our product. I will maybe just ask you, has the product arrived? How are you feeling about the product? Or I will not even send you an email for 21 days. Okay, I will just wait. And then after 21 days, I will start asking some questions, because I see brands asking like, please review our product. You shipped it 3 days ago. Nobody will review it. It hasn't even come to my address. Okay, so that's the first part. When you start developing that relationship, then you will slowly try to educate those customers to understand their pain points. And it's very important to deal with unhappy customers properly. With all that being said, let's not focus on email marketing channel that much. With all that being said, you will start to get loyal customers and customers who are actually will want to share their story with you. With that, then the best approach that worked for us is to actually go in and try to identify from our current customers who is tagging us on Instagram, who is posting videos, who is creating some content that sparks some engagement. And 80% of this content will not be nearly as perfect or nearly as a good fit, but it's all just about doing research. And then also there are some campaigns that you can do proactively instead of being reactive, waiting for people to tag you on Instagram. You can be proactive and ask people for video reviews. Ask them, give them incentives to provide video reviews for you by giving them maybe like free products next time, or by maybe providing them with like some other incentives, like ask them to be a brand ambassador, potentially if they nail the video. So try to involve them, okay? That's the proactive way. And it's really depending a lot on the product and the industry. But I would say reactivate, or just wait for people to tag you. And that's very rough when you are small. or proactively to just like ask people, but at appropriate time and after appropriate conversation through email marketing. You cannot just ask them directly, hey, will you record a video for us? You need to make it very natural, because not a lot of people are comfortable getting in front of camera, even if they are good at doing it. Why would I record a review for your product? I just maybe don't like your brand, no? Or you didn't ask me nicely enough. So it's really very tricky. But I would say through right community management that you do on socials, on email, you can get to a point where those videos will start coming without you even asking for that.
But I can really see why brands go to these agencies just to get the content quickly, because what you now just described, it takes time. Like just building your community is probably months. But is there any quick hacks, strategies they can do to get this raw material a little bit faster and not go to an agency? I'm just thinking like, I don't know, just do a huge gifting campaigns to nano influencers. Is that the way to go? Or have you seen any strategies that have been done by other brands to get this raw material a little bit faster and not having to start from scratch, build, it's a lot of work. Obviously you need to do that too, but do you have any hacks?
Yeah, I would say like if it's a really urgent situation where you need content ASAP and you don't have resources to hire an agency to pay, let's say $150 for a video, then I would say just try being honest with your customers. What I would do if I had e-commerce right now and I struggle with content, I would literally put a letter inside every single box with a QR code, which will lead like to Google Drive folder where I want you to upload your video, and I will write a couple sentence story about how we really want to hear back your experience, or to motivate people. Like there was one great brand that I worked in the past. Their community building was not based on like, hey, share experience or something like that. No, we want to hear your feedback because you will be directly involved in developing our next products, next line of products. So that's when people will tell you, oh yeah, I'm important to this brand. They want to hear my opinion because they want to improve upon that. So that's one of the strategies that you can use, and I will definitely suggest that. And that can also bring you a lot other benefits, not just content. So like try to really be creative. If you just, hey, can you submit a review? No, I cannot. I don't care. But like try to be creative, tell a story about why you want them to record that video, and that will for sure increase your so-called conversion rate. Let's call it conversion rates of like videos that you get back. But literally, I would just starting like asking people directly, because people will really appreciate that. Email can be a little bit slower, lower response rates, but if people like on top of their product, if they find personalized letter, and I would even try to make it very personalized, like with the name and everything, and like asking for the content for this and that reason and being creative about the reason, I think that can help, sure.
That's cool. And do you think, you mentioned ambassador program, do you think that could be a way to go, like maybe even go deeper? So you would go into your, I think we've talked about this, but maybe go into your Shopify, check your customers, try to find the ones that are...
Obviously, if you already have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 customers, there is high chance that some of those are actually kind of micro influencers or influencers. And then if you scope, then you can just upload those emails and try to find them. But even without scope, it's a little bit more manual work, obviously. But I would advise brands to really dig deep into this. And it can be time consuming, but it can be kind of high risk, high reward situation. Because if you find some people who are actually very good with content creation and they already use your product, it's kind of win-win situation for them and for you, because then you can offer them incentives, maybe percentage of sales, commissions that can protect you from some huge upfront investment. And they should be pretty open to do it, because if it's a product that has that need for recurring purchase and they like the product, they will purchase into the future, and then you just offer some kind of incentive. From that point on, it should be pretty easy to source that content. The hardest part would be to actually kind of find those people. But with like 1,000+ customers, for sure you will find somebody. It's just a little bit of manual work that you need to do.
Yeah. And what do you think about, I've heard this from other people in the space, when it comes to finding, if you can call it like true UGC or like good content creators that actually do the work, they just go volume. So maybe they contact and gift maybe 300 people, or say that they want content from them. Here's $500 or $50, depending on who they are. And then just collect maybe 100 content pieces, and maybe just 3 of them is actually good, and they don't care about the rest. They paid a lot, but they, as you said, well, what do you think about that, Serge? Have you seen any success? Do you recommend it? Yeah, what's your thoughts?
There are a lot of brands which do content sourcing and also influence marketing with that approach. I also now see, just to connect with our previous episode, TikTok Shop, I see a lot of people doing TikTok affiliate program with that mass approach strategy. It definitely has advantages, I would say, because when you have a couple hundred videos, obviously, I mean, if none of them work, then you're very, very unlucky. But for sure, like it's like a big numbers game. Like out of 500 videos, you will for sure have like at least 1, 2, 3% good ones. However, my personal opinion is that like it's kind of like doing what UGC agencies are doing, like prioritizing quantity over quality for the sake of like mass production. I think for small brands, it will be very difficult because then you need to ship out a lot of product, or you need to pay for a lot of videos, and then it's an ROI question. Like, okay, let's say I pay $50 per video, which is extremely cheap. Let's take 100 because it's much more realistic number. $100 per video, 500 videos. Okay, we are now at like 50K investment. And like, okay, I will get 5 good ones or 10 good ones. How much I need to invest in ads to like get those 50, or do I even have 50K to spend? You know, it's very tricky. And this mass approach, I think, can work, but it's very, I would say, risky, and it's very time consuming. And if you make it not time consuming, that means that you're not filtering at all. And I just don't see it as efficient. My personal approach is to try to go granular, try to really develop good relationships with maybe like dozen of creators. And like, I think if you filter really well, like if you do mass approach 100 content creators, or you filter very well with 15 creators, you will roughly get the same number of good videos.
Yeah.
Or 3.
But when you get them, either way, because I think some brands will have a hard time to look at a video and know if this is high quality or mediocre. Obviously, they will see if it's really bad. But if you get, let's say, 10 content pieces or even 100, and everyone is pretty good, shouldn't shouldn't you give Meta the kind of decision making of it? Just put it in the system and run everything, and then everything. Or tell me instead, what's the process there when you get the raw material?
That's actually an excellent question. So now let's get to that topic: how you do test, how you understand what's working, and what's a good way of like having that process set up. So I am the guy who was all against all algorithms. Like, I will do it manually. If I trust that some ads have potential, I will test them manually. I will push the money there, even though Meta will not give them money. So what was the situation? You have 5 videos, okay? You will put them in one campaign, one ad set on Meta. One gets the money, others spend 50 cents, $1, $2. What I did in the past always, I will separate, I will take it out, put it in another ad set, give it money. I will push Meta to spend. And a lot of times I was actually right, okay? A lot of times Meta was very, very wrong about some videos. Because there is one very interesting thing about 2 very different metrics which should at the end lead to the sale, but they are not necessarily doing that every single time. And that's engagement rate and conversion rate. Engagement rate is how many people will like, comment, share, save, watch your video for more than 50%, more than 75%. Conversion rate after the click, how many of those people are actually relevant buyers. Okay, and Meta can fake that a little bit. Meta will push the money where the engagement is, because from Meta POV, they want to have as good content as possible on their platform, because that will make people spend more time on the platform and then generates more impressions of ads and that generates more revenue. It's kind of magic circle. And I understand that completely. But then on the other side, engaging content is not always converting very well. I will give one very stupid example. You can have very clickbaity headline. Okay, click to get $10,000 for free. Obviously, that's not allowed on Meta. I'm just giving a very stupid example. You click, but then you need to spend some money to fill some data. You exit. Conversion rate 0, engagement rate infinite. Okay, so engagement rate and conversion rate are not always kind of being on the same side. And that's why I always pushed all ads that I had, even though I think some of them are good, I think some of them are not so good, but I will give fair chance to every single ad. However, Meta algorithm has came a long way since then. And it was kind of a must for Meta because after iOS 14.5, data models changed, attribution got messy all around the place. And for those reasons, practically, it was impossible for Meta to rely on some of the techniques for they were using previously in their algorithm. So they really developed that algorithm. And now with AI, obviously, algorithm has much better understanding of the content and of people behavioral patterns. And right now, I'll tell you this. You put 5 ads in Meta campaign, you push them to test. One will spend 95% of the budget. Other 4 will spend 1% each or 1.5% each. Most of the time, Meta is right. I would say 80% of the situations. And now to recognize those 20%, that's more like experience. And I have that experience, but I understand that a lot of people don't. So I would say, if you are not an expert in Meta, trust the algorithm. Meta is really trying very hard to make their advertising noob friendly. And I think they are going into that direction. Still, there is huge advantage for the people who actually know a lot and who have a lot of experience. But I think Meta algorithm came a long way. And to answer your question in short, definitely, if algorithm is not giving your ad any money, it's most probably right about that piece of content. It will most probably not convert. And for understanding what works, what doesn't work, it's just getting data, testing, iteration after iteration, testing video after video, and after 50, 100 videos, data will show you. You don't have to know anything. You will see.
And how long should you test? And when it comes to also getting the UGC, getting the rights to run it as an ad, how many weeks, months should you get so you have enough time to experiment? Yeah, what's the best practice there, would you say?
That's another very good question. So I would say a lot of people are actually mistaking the testing and saying, hey, it needs time. No, it doesn't need time. It needs money. It needs impressions, okay? So if you're spending $1,000 a day to test an ad, one day is more than enough. You can test it in 3 hours, okay? But then on the other side, if your budgets are, let's say, more realistic for today's economical space and for a lot of, let's address the small brands out there, they're spending like maybe $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 per month. And then 80% of that must go to what's working already. And then you have only 20% for testing new stuff. I would say you definitely need a couple of days or maybe a week. I would say focus around money, don't focus around time. So I would say spend up to products for products which cost up to $100. 3-4 times your CPA should be enough, or 3-4 times your AOV. That also works. That formula also works. So like, let's say your average order value is like $50-$60. Give it $150, give it $200 to see the numbers. And I would say when you are trying to determine the winner early, don't focus on purchases and ROAS, because purchases and ROAS will have a delay because of the data loss. So you will get delayed attribution. So if you try to determine a winner after 2-3 days, you spend $200. Focus on hook rate, click-through rate, cost per click. Hook rate being how many times you stopped from scrolling. So like that actual formula is like 3-second video views divided with impressions in percentages. And then for the click-through rate, obviously everyone knows what that is. I don't need to explain. And then CPC, CPM, and you will just see if you're and then compare to your benchmark numbers, obviously. So people are trying to generalize. 1% is good click-through rate. Yeah, for me, maybe for you, it's not. So I have accounts which have 2.5% average click-through rate on conversion campaign. Others have 0.5. It strongly depends on the niche. It strongly depends on the niche and on the product. But compared to your benchmark, not to LinkedIn benchmarks and what people are saying on LinkedIn or on like, I don't know, some blog posts. So let's say your 30-day average is 1% click-through rate. It's $1 CPC and it's $10 CPM. Very rough numbers. If you see that your click-through rate on the newly tested ad is 1.2, 1.3%, it's actually 20% better than your average, and your CPC is maybe 10% lower than your average, then that's a potential winner. If it's like 10, 15% worse, or let's say 50% worse, even worse, yeah, then it's probably not going to work. Even though this, like I've seen this Slack message a lot of times from my clients. Why did you turn this ad off? It had 2 ROAS. Yeah, based on one purchase, you got lucky. It got lucky. Yeah, let's give it some more time, but it will never work because CTR is 0.5% and the average CTR is 1.5%. And they say, no, but it's good ROAS. Yeah, let's see. And then in 2 days, we turn it off because ROAS drops from 2 to 0.5. Early data in terms of purchases, ROAS, cost per purchase, can lie to you a lot because you can get delayed attribution on one side and you can turn something off because it has 0 purchases, even though you ignore secondary metrics. And then in 3 days, you get 3 delayed purchases and it's like 5 ROAS. Or you can see 5 ROAS just because it got very lucky. 10 clicks, 1 purchase, that's lottery. It doesn't mean that ad is actually working. So
that's great. So benchmark, look at your own history, what you've done, and look at those early metrics and skip the ROAS, purchase and all that. But also, would you say then, is it common to do the 80-20 rule where you put 80% on what's working, pushing, and 20% playing around? Is that common, or what do you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, 80-20, 70-30, those are, I would say, most common ones. Again, this will depend on your whole e-commerce health right now. Are all of your sales depending on actual paid acquisition, or do you have recurring revenue? Do you have organic sales? What's your operational margin? If you can afford MBR or marketing efficiency ratio to be at 2 and you are right now having 5, then yeah, let's test much more and let's bring that MBR actually down because that will be beneficial long term. So that will obviously, that's very case-to-case specific, so I don't have a great answer, but I would say like test as much as possible until you see that your business health is suffering. So always be on the edge because testing a lot will help you long run. Every single day. Every single time.
Yeah. And when it comes to, we touched on it before, but paying for the content, so paying for UGC, I mean, obviously it's great to give a product and they do the raw material, like if you have a community, but if you just think of the way of like paying someone, is there any benchmark on like UGC spend based on your ad spend, or like, how should you think of that budget when it comes to like paying for content so you actually can get ROI in the end? Like, what's normal for a content piece? What's worth and what's too much?
I will tell you what's the average price across, I don't know, probably 10 plus most popular content agencies out there. So for UGC piece, you will pay anywhere from like $60-$70. That's like very low end price. Can be found on some like mass production UGC outsourcing platforms. Let's not mention them, but people will know. And then you can pay up to $350, $400. And all of this is like non-influencers, so like UGC creators. People always mistaken that like UGC creator doesn't necessarily have to be an influencer. Influencers have huge following. Content creators often have like 50 IG followers, just their family, but they're producing content for brands. So for UGC, non-influencer content, I would say anywhere between like 60-70, which is very low end, to 350, which is very high end for content piece. Obviously, more content you order, the better deal you will get. I would say normal price would be for me like around $150 per content piece. And I mean, in perspective, that's a great deal. Don't get me wrong, because like, if you can get a content piece for $100 and then spend 10, 15, 20K on that on paid ads channel, obviously you're getting huge ROI, and that $100 become completely irrelevant based on your total spend on that video. But then if you can, I had clients which like order 10, 15 videos, then pay like a couple $1,000 and then 0 results. That's painful. And then
Yeah.
it can get hard. I mean, I would say always, like, if you have human resources and then like enough time to do it, try to find UGC creators on your own, because you need to understand that this agency which is providing you with the service, they also need to make money, and creator needs to make money. Obviously, if you find a creator directly, you're having one less piece of the puzzle, and then like one less party to get the revenue share. So if you can do it manually, try to search on your own, do it. If not, try with an UGC agency. There are some good ones, there are some bad ones. I don't want to call out anyone here, but it's you need to experiment. Try to go for Trustpilot to see what people are thinking about their service. Try to ask for recommendations from people who actually have experience, and yeah, you will need to be a little bit. You will need to have a little bit of luck as well.
Yeah. But is it that? Is it?
One very important, very important piece of feedback for people who are going with paid UGC creators: provide as much context and as detailed brief as possible, because with real UGC, let's call it real UGC that we discussed, you don't want to have constraints, because those people actually feel your product. They will tell good enough story. Don't limit them in what they will say. With UGC paid creators, they don't know your product. They are doing it for the money. You need to provide them with very strict scripts, briefs. What's your strengths? What are the pain points your product is solving? So it's kind of totally opposite approach to like real UGC and paid UGC. So if you're doing paid UGC, be as detailed as possible. They will appreciate it at the end of the day. It will make their job easier, and you will get better outcomes.
That was actually my question. Like, if you would do it yourself, reach out to them. What should be the process? And I guess, giving them a detailed brief is important. But I guess give them freedom too, so it's not scripted.
Yeah, obviously. When I'm saying give them scripts, I'm not thinking like write them 3 reasons why video script. Please don't do that. Please don't make your scripts on ChatGPT, at least without an amazing prompt. Don't do it, hey, I need a script. If you're doing it with ChatGPT, you need to do it properly. If you say, hey, I need a script for my video, you will get some rubbish script. So don't give them like, hey, say this or say that, but give them, try to educate them what problems is your product solving and how to approach it the best possible way. Because not every product is very easy to market. Some products are actually very difficult to come to the actual essence of it. So try to give that essence so they understand it better, but give them freedom in terms of like techniques and then like hooks. Or obviously, like if you have working hooks, you can give them hook recommendations as well. Since you're paying for the content, you're probably struggling. So don't give them like scripts and of like say this and that, but give them essence of your product and what pain points are you solving so they can understand it better.
I got a recommendation from another consultant. She was saying like we if we have videos of creators or UGC that we know are great and working for us and we love it, we would just share it with them so they can get inspiration from it. Have you heard about that too? Just giving those type of videos? Or
yes, that's definitely a good recommendation. I couldn't agree more. If you know what's working, just try to make more of it. So let's not fix what's not broken. That would be my point always, because it saves so much time and so much effort. So obviously, if you have winning creatives, if you have winning assets, try to go with that and then try to kind of have your UGC creators understand what's working for your brand and for your audience, and then let them have to try to tweak it to make it natural for them. But still, let's try to follow the patterns which worked in the past.
Yeah. Great. And as a final point, is there anything else you've been thinking about? I need to share this if you're gonna work with UGC. Anything else you would add?
Yeah, I would just bring this conversation to the right at the beginning, just to emphasize once more very shortly. UGC is not when you pay a random actor. UGC is when you have a person who believes your brand, who wants to tell his or her story, and UGC needs to have emotional storytelling, not oversaturated hooks. And that UGC will work every single day, every single month, every single season, every single year. And it will work now, it will work 10 years from now, it will work thousands of years from now, if marketing still exists at that time. But don't believe when you hear that UGC is not working. UGC is working. You just need to have it.
Yeah. This was great. I think many brands now will like feel like, okay, let's skip these actors. Let's go with the true audience. And I think also another upcoming episode we could do too is maybe talk about email marketing, as we touched on it, and how to, I guess, build a community and start building a relationship with your customers. But this was great. Thanks for joining us second time. And
yeah, I definitely think that we have more interesting topics to discuss. And thank you for having me as always. I think we really provided some value to e-commerce brand owners and CMOs and other people who are doing marketing for their companies.
yeah, 100%. Great.